Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whichever part of the world you are joining us from. Global Council for the Promotion of International Trade welcomes you all for this prestigious summit, Global Founders Council Summit. This summit designs to give members of the creative community, company owners, and entrepreneurs the chance to network with one another and work together to expand the reach and impact of their own brands and endeavors. It gives readers actionable advice on how to improve their careers, expand their businesses, strengthen their communities, and start their own ventures. Whether you consider yourself an entrepreneur, a bootstrap founder, a maker, or otherwise, if you are building a company, you belong to Global Founders Council Summit. You will be joined by founders and mentors, as well as other like minded experts that are prioritizing and pursuing sustainable success. Sessions are led by incredible founders who have actually done the thing you are trying to do, whether that's building a profitable business for the long term or locking down exits. GCPIT UK and GC and Global Council for the Promotion of International Trade aims to transform the future of business and industry through sustainable business best practices. The primary goal is to promote a nationwide organization that harness the diverse capabilities and strength of the countries to the creation of new industries resting on sustainability. The Council will promote sustainable business models and best practices to the nationwide creation of new industries over the medium to long term. Personnel from industry, academia, and the government will work together to go back to the basis of sustainability and to investigate and make recommendations on the application of the technology, solutions, best use cases, and the required industrial structure, system, and rules. Through these activities, the Council will provide sustainable development with the aim of channelizing advance in sustainable development goals into promoting industry and reinforcing international competitiveness. Let's begin the summit. So, I would like to call our first keynote speaker, Ms. Hosanna Sabine, solopreneur and growth marketer, Growth Excel to it. She is a growth marketer who believes in using combination of science and art to create digital assets for her clients while aids them to get good ROI. Using persuasive copywriting and funnel strategies to build online presence which are backed with scientific and process-oriented research is a forte. Her strategies and copywriting technique have helped brands to 10x their visibility in less than 30 days by running a LinkedIn outreach campaign. Further, she has helped a KPO outsourcing company to improve its website's conversion rate by up to 200%. And coaches get bookings for events, interviews, and panel discussions. And today she will be sharing her valuable insights on the topic collaborative partnership for sustainable economic development. Over to Ms. Surana.
Thank you so much, Ananya, for your kind words and warm introduction. I would also like to thank GCPIT, Santosh ji, for building this incredible platform and being generous to give us a chance to share our thoughts and experience. So as we start talking about collaborative partnership, the first thing that comes to my mind is no man is an island. We all know this phrase very well. We know in businesses, in the realm of sustainable economic development, you cannot be alone to grow and innovate further. Collaboration is becoming the new game in this whole sustainable thing, or even in any business or startup, or as she told in the beginning, bootstrapping of an economy. So before we mark this journey, I would like to say about, just give a little definition about collaborative partnership. So when it comes to our mind about, first thing that comes to our mind when we think about collaborative partnership is that there would be lengthy meetings, endless conference calls, cold pitching the prospects, and it becomes a bureaucratic nightmare for many entrepreneurs, I believe. It's like every time pitching other partners to bring into the picture so that there is better growth and market expansion. But if we want to rewrite this narrative, the best thing we could do is make partnership a secret weapon by understanding the prospect, the partners with whom we want to collaborate. To do so, this brings us resources, pooled expertise, and a dream that every entrepreneur has, that is market expansion. So to make this a good recipe of a collaborative partnership, let's dive deep into a few examples, like how Starbucks collaborated with Conservation International to join forces to promote sustainable coffee growing practices. This partnership just not only helps Starbucks elevate its brand, but also gave it a name of environmentally conscious company. And they also promoted a lot into building sustainable agriculture. The other examples that comes to mind is Unilever with United States, Tesla collaboration with Panasonic. All these partnerships and collaborations weren't born out of thin air just on a good morning. They were actually well crafted, marketed, and managed according to their goals, and then the results of innovation, growth, and creating a benchmark in economic development goals has come into the picture. So what I suggest in this growing economy to the leaders and entrepreneurs is that now the world is no more limited to stuffy boardrooms or just conference call or waiting for physical networking events to happen. We have the leverage of meeting people over internet, like we are doing it today in this conference, in this call. We have digital partners with us. The digital partners means the social media channels. They all are at our fingertips, like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. These spaces are not just meant to share the new job you got or the new collaboration you did. They are the gold mines of networking with these ideal collaborative partners that leaders are always seeking for to grow. These channels, if well utilized and used strategically, can bring up results that could bring innovation that no one would have ever dreamt of. Because when people from different mindsets and culture meet over such networking platforms, they the brainstorming brings up so many ideas that can not only benefit their own company but the whole economy. Now, I bet everyone listening here can think of an instant where they made a valuable connection online, definitely. Like I did a valuable connection with Santoshji, which gives me an opportunity to speak today here. And that was through LinkedIn, definitely. So there's a lot of things that goes behind doing these networking and collaborative efforts, and where growth marketing aspect can play a major role. It can come onto the stage to help leaders uh, bring strategies to have targeted audience and prospects with whom they could collaborate and create the sustainable and achieve their sustainable goals. Definitely it requires a lot of persuasion, targeted listening before outreaching to the potential prospects for collaborative partnership again. And this cannot be just created over a fortnight. It needs a lot of strategies and persuasive techniques to understand with whom you want to collaborate, why you want to collaborate. And the major question is, why should the collaborator be interested into your services or your offering? So it's all about understanding the other party, the collaborative party. And to know about them, you need to research a lot about their pain, problems, anxieties, the solution which they are always seeking for, and the transformational life that they always dream about. Because when you understand the problems of those people whom you want to collaborate with, your task becomes easy to pursue them into your collaborations, to invite them and take up the action, the desired action you want to have with your collaboration, with when partnering with them. So, like majorly when I do marketing, growth marketing, the tools which I believe are the best for doing these sort of collaborative marketing is definitely LinkedIn and Twitter. But I would more focus on LinkedIn because LinkedIn has this features of bringing specifically targeted search to open conversations with them. Now, when LinkedIn partners with automation tools, this opening of conversations become very easy for a person or a brand because they can have them on autopilot. You just have to open conversations with the people. And that's where you are able to achieve your goals. Now, conversations are not opened up easily. They need to have some context behind and after them. So that's where understanding your audience, like I told before, understanding your prospect is very, very important. Understanding what they require, how they require, and how you can and your brand can help them in their goals as well. So networking becomes is the key for having collaborative partnership. And to sum it up, for networking, I believe LinkedIn is the best source to have it. And to use LinkedIn better, you need to have strategies where you understand the persuasion method you will be using and the mindset of the person whom you will be to whom you would be targeting. So once again, I would say that a well-crafted strategy is always a yes. And that can be the key step for any entrepreneur or any brand to achieve their sustainable development goals, their economic development goals as well. And it's not just to have thing, it's a must have thing. And it's not just nice to have, it's a must to have always for them. So that's what I would say in the context of collaborative partnership for the future of sustainable economic development.
Thank you, Mrs. Sana. This was really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you. So, our next keynote speaker is Ms. Dion Kerr-Mulher, CEO, SIA Consulting, South Africa. She is the founder and CEO of SIA Consulting, providing advisory services to both public and private sector clients on transformation, development, and strategy. Since leaving the banking industry in 1998, she actively worked on inward investment, economic development, social enterprise research, and activation. She is a thought leader and public speaker on social impact, diversity, people sustainability, and shared value. She has a strong portfolio of local and multinational private and public sector clients and has served on several executive committees. She served as a judge for several awards and was the chairperson of the National Association of BEE Consultants. And today she will be sharing her valuable insights on the topic trade facilitation and investment promotion. Over to you, Ms. Dion.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I'm trying to turn my, I'm having a technology challenge this morning in getting anything sorted. So please accept my apologies for no background and the light in the background as well. We're going through the joys of load shedding in South Africa at the moment, which is planned electricity outages, which we have dependent on the level of load shedding for sometimes 4 or 5 times a day at 2 or 3 hours at a time. And so one never quite knows whether the cellular structures and data structures and technology structures are going to hold up. So thank you so much for having me. I'm talking this morning very briefly about the issues of money, I guess, and specifically trade investment and promotion and how that links into the SDGs. And I think that for me, from an SMME ourselves, we also, as a business, develop more than 5,500 SMMEs at any given time through an online platform. We've worked extensively in SMME development, both in South Africa and across the African continent. So it's something that's very dear to me and I'm extremely passionate about. And at the end of the day, one of the misnomers that we have is that SMME development and social enterprise development is empirically important. Everybody says the right things about this side of the sector, but in reality, it's often looked at as charitable. If we take a look at the SDG investment and what's happening in that investment market, it's estimated that there's a gap of about 2.5 trillion US dollars, and that was dated back to 2014. Since then, we saw post-COVID that the investment in SDG imperatives post-pandemic fell by 51% in Africa, as an example, 44% in Latin America, 33% in Asia. So that investment actually dropping. And one of the issues that we found is the ability for SMMEs who are far more agile and far more able to change to really maximize the money that needs to be and has now been committed to SDG investment. A shared value approach is a business approach adopted in the United States. They're estimating that corporate businesses in the United States are investing now around 12% of their GDP into shared value imperatives and seeing a remarkable return on their investment. Countries globally are struggling with the dynamic of having to say, how do we make sure that we prioritize social investment when we've got shrinking GDPs and or increasing levels of debt and or an increasing number of people that are unemployed and issues of climate change and how that's impacting the world over. The reality is that it's always going to be harder for corporate businesses to adapt and be agile, and small businesses can do that far more readily. So I'd like to just talk about some of the examples really that allow us to look at this notion of where SMMEs will be the catalyst for the future in respect of SDG investment and in respect of how corporate world interacts with our SMME market. In one of the mining communities that we work in, they had a significant issue where municipalities particularly in South Africa, have to submit what is called an integrated development plan. And that plan suggests how they will make sure that each of the members of their communities and municipalities are taken care of. In one of the communities that we audited, the municipality told us that there was 29,000 households in the community we were auditing. The mine, who has responsibility for some level of social and infrastructure impact for their communities, told us that those numbers were incorrect. There were more than 63,000 households. And we employed youth. We trained them. We provided them with tablets. We trained them on how to do surveys. And we made them go door to door across each and every household to understand the skills, to understand what industry, what businesses, the household income, and how that was operating. There were 212,000 households in that same community. So how do we possibly expect for governments and municipalities and structures of government to provide for all of their people when in actual fact the reality is that there's too much distance between the data and the global imperatives and the policy imperatives and in actual fact what's happening on the ground. So projects such as collecting wet waste out of catering kitchens, for every mining house and large corporates collecting their wet waste and converting it into positive natural fertilizers, which can then go back into the agri-ecosystem. Some of them are converted into biodiesel for tractors, machinery, and equipment, and some are converted into fertilizers for plants and plant care. But in essence, what happens is that the cost of removing that wet waste is quite exorbitant. It has to be removed in a certain way. It has to be registered so that it doesn't go to landfill in terms of methane gas and emissions. And so it has to be paid to be removed by a registered company that charges quite excessively because it is a specialized service. By the community being able to take that wet waste and convert it into biodiesel and being able to convert it into fertilizer, the company pays the community instead of the large enterprise that used to do the waste collection. And the community converts that into a product which they can use to stimulate and develop their agricultural enterprises. So for the business involved, it's investment neutral. For the parties involved on a commercial level, it's investment neutral, but it completely ticks the boxes of SDGs. It absolutely addresses the issues of Scope 3 emissions in respect of minimizing methane gas and minimizing what goes back into the environment. And more importantly, it allows that community to be able to use a circular economy model in order to generate an income and a livelihood. And I think for me, this is passionately where we need to relook at our role as SMMEs in being able to create jobs, in being able to play meaningful roles on the ground, in converting our business ideas into circular economy activists where we can deliver projects on scale, on the ground, which nobody else can do. And I always say community solutions are not developed around a boardroom table. In the same way, SMME solutions need to be driven by the SMME market. And the access for funding has never been better. Traditional funding sources for small businesses is expensive. Usually it comes with heightened security expectations. It comes with heightened interest rates. Even the grant funding typically is insufficient in order to create longevity in SMME development. And so if we start to look at blended finance models, if we start to look at the opportunities that exist for us to be activists for SDG change as the SMME market, and we model our business models accordingly, then it's an entire layer of finance and funding that we make available in order to achieve these goals. Again, another example I'd like to use, and I'm sorry there's noise and lights going out as the power switches and comes in and out, but is the issue, pardon me, of mining closure. And I know that I've discussed mining twice. In fact, let me use another example. We had an FMCG company that works in health and hygiene. During COVID, what we did was we did some research around the trends in South African townships. Townships are informal settlements. Typically, individuals live in a shack dwelling environment, and around 32% of a mom, a single mother's income goes towards providing for health, childcare while she's at work. In addition to that, around 20% of our income is spent on transport to and from work. And so what we did was we developed a model where we created a 3D printing business within each of these households with a single mom. She was able to print educational toys and items so that moms can homeschool their children and be able to make sure that the early childhood development function is taken on by the mother. And they were able to be advocates for health and hygiene. They were trained in basic healthcare, first aid, and community counseling, and they were able to sell these products which were provided by the manufacturer of dental products in terms of health and hygiene. So they could create an income, they could take care of their children, they could be positive advocates for change, and very importantly, provide a better quality care for their children. The net income that was provided for these micro enterprises is 3 times what their net income was when they were working in the formal market. And over and above those issues, these ladies started to collect plastic waste and convert it into plates and bowls, which could very well and easily be set up. So it's really just for us to take a different look at SMME development. It's really for us to merge the interests of the SDGs around education, health, poverty alleviation, climate change, and obviously social justice and quality employment and dignity that exist for all of the human beings, and the opportunity that exists sits within that social development and the SMME market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dion. Thank you so much for your time. So our next speaker is Mr. Syed Mubarak, Chief Sustainability Officer, Ibo Lab, PTE Ltd, Singapore. Mr. Syed is sustainability and technological veteran with over 30 years of proven experience in trending the change within organization to adopt technologies, innovation, business process improvement, and stakeholder engagement to future-proof assets. He has played strategic roles in formulating sustainability and ESG framework, policies, process for organization to align with international standards, meeting regulatory requirements, and mitigating risk to sustain the business sustainability. He has managed multi-million square feet of real estate facilities to realize carbon reduction, energy and cost saving, water conservation, and engaging the community to lead a sustainable lifestyle. And today he will be sharing his valuable insights on the topic decarbonization trends in built environment real estate. Over to you, Mr. Syed.
Thank you, Ananya. Good evening, good morning to everyone. It's my pleasure, a real honor to be here. And thank you to Santosh for setting up this great platform for leaders to come here and to share their thoughts and insights. And of course, here, Dion spoke about a lot about financing and access to finance. And Hussaina spoke about partnership and collaborative partnership in evolving sustainable development goals. And in my context, today I will share more related to real estate sector, which is one of the biggest contributor for carbon footprint and also one of the biggest challenge in relation to achieving sustainable development goals. So Ananya, can I share my slides?
Mr. Syed, please.
Okay, cool. All right, so as I mentioned, my subject today is all about real estate sector. And the real estate sector is one of the biggest contributors for the carbon footprint and waste generation. And Dion spoke about waste and a conversion of waste to the new form of energy. And today, let me set a context first before we jump into what are the challenges and what are the opportunities are there. So the context here is very, very important today. That is the latest news announced by UN Habitat that global warming is likely to reach 1.5 degrees Celsius between 2030, not far away from now, 7 years from now, through 2052, and approximately we could reach 3 degrees Celsius in 2100, based on the current scenario of actions we are taking globally and regionally and country-wise. As you know that almost more than 58% of people live in urban area as of now, almost 4.2 billion. And we could be adding another 2 over billion people in the next decades to come into the cities, that is smart city development. So that contribute over 70 to 76% of carbon emission globally as of today, out of 35 billion tons of carbon. So we know that how important it is, right? And before we jump into the real estate sector, I want to set a context that there are 7 market segment globally contribute to the overall carbon emission, starting from electricity and heat production to agriculture, building sector, transportation, industry, and other form of energy. The chart at the right side illustrates the carbon emission started from 1955 through 2025. Today we are almost 423 ppm. If you can compare against 2022, it's almost increased few percentage, and again 2021 we are keep rising despite we saw only a dip in 2020 due to COVID, but right after that we still in the acceleration stage. So why really real estate sector is very important? As all of us know that we live and breathe or do everything, whether it's a home or our office or a shopping and everything, almost 80 to 90% of the time we live in indoor environment. So the built environment really contribute to one of the biggest culprit, I would say, in the context of carbon emission. So here, if you look at the chart, the 2 chart here, one illustrates about 34% of global energy production consumed by real estate sector, whether it's residential, non-residential, and industrial related built environment. And the chart at the right side shows most 37% of carbon emission attributed from real estate sector. And if you notice that in 2021, there are 10 gigatons of carbon emitted just from built environment, which is ever highest recorded in the history of real estate sector. So this is really, really very important, the area we really need to focus on. So the next chart illustrates is also from IEA. Of course, we see there are good movement in the emission intensity and energy intensity in the context of built environment. There is almost 7% reduction compared against 2015 to 2021, or in the context of energy intensity drop from 153 to 152 kilowatt, very minor change. Having said that, the built total environment space increased from almost 242 billion square meter as of 2021. I will share again in the next slide that the buildings whatever built today, almost 2/3 of the built environment will be on stock until 2040, meaning that those buildings are built back in 1950 to 2020. All these things really need to go into the very significant focus on decarbonization, whether it is energy efficiency improvement or waste reduction or water conservation or supply chain related carbon emission reduction. All these things are very important, making sure that the building stocks are low carbon footprint or low carbon intensive operation in the context. So this is a chart actually from IEA. It predicts that real estate environment has to achieve net zero by 2050. And if you can see that, we will be adding another 230 billion square meter of space from now through 2060. So with addition of 2 billion people getting into the city level, meaning that we really need to decouple the carbon emission against the built environment. So how is it going to happen? That's where the technology comes into place, and of course engaging people, which is very crucial. And that's exactly what GCPIT, with the ecosystem of people and technology, we could play a very important role in making sure that the real estate sector can achieve a significant carbon reduction and enabling sustainable development goals. As per World Bank prediction, there are about $30 trillion are required from now through 2030 to achieve SDG goals. And that 1/3 of the money has to go to real estate sector. And of course, Diane has spoken about, access to finance is very crucial. At the same time, it's very challenging. And equally on a built environment sector is not far away. And every time there are a lot of opportunities, but access to finance is a very challenging. So we need to think carefully on how we can move forward in that. So what I think, based on my experience, I think we have to look at the three big strategy. One is about strategic leadership and commitment from the management, whether it's a company or a government or city. I think that's very important, the commitment. Number two is how to embed sustainable development goals, standards and codes and processes into the property development, asset development. Third is actually empowering stakeholders, both internal stakeholder and external stakeholder. Empowerment is very crucial. So these are the three key strategy. And then four key pillars I look at it. One is commitment. Number two is the access to finance. Third is actually the capacity building. And last but not least, enabling technology. When I say enabling technology, from developed countries to the developing countries and to the emerging countries. Once we have these four pillars and three strategy, then can focus on 7 key area of engagement. One from starting from urban planning, particularly when new cities are going to be developed. Urban planning is very crucial, focusing on sustainable development goal and ESG compliance. Second, of course, new buildings. New buildings are very important to make sure that it is constructed from the onset through the operation in a more sustainable manner. Existing building, as I mentioned in the previous slide, 2/3 of the buildings already built will live until 2040, making sure existing buildings can be more sustainable and more energy efficient. Material sector. Material is very important. I think this is related to supply chain and scope 3 emission, making sure whether steel, cement, concrete, or any other material are low carbon intensive. Subsequently, building operation, resilience of the building, and but last but not least is a clean energy adoption. That is renewable biomass or wind power or even any other form of clean energy, which is very important. So that if we focus on these 7 key areas, then ultimately any built environment can be more sustainable and ultimately will produce more business opportunities and job environment and employment growth. So here while we talk about it, there are 4 key areas, immediate one anyone can do. One is about any new building or existing building, creating a proper shading mechanism so that will eliminate or minimize heat gain into the environment. Second, actually rewilding the cities and buildings, meaning that how we can bring nature together, because we completely disconnected from our nature and we live in a more materialistic world. How to bring nature into our ecosystem, in our making sure that cities or buildings are most livable. Third is, of course, electrification. Electrification from energy efficiency, active energy system, passive energy system, and of course, adoption of clean energy. Last but not least, making sure that the policies and procedures are continuously updated, enhanced, so that it can take into consideration new technologies which are surfacing up. So here I would like to share an example of many projects I have been contributed in the last 3 decades. This is actually a large-scale integrated resort, about 40 million square feet of space, more than 13,000 hotel keys, and of course, a biggest MICE, that is meeting, convention, exhibition space, over 800 retail outlets, and of course, a couple of hundred restaurants and a casino. So this asset gone through a significant facelift, and of course, energy efficiency program, water conservation program, and waste minimization program, enabling supply chain into the overall sustainable development goals. So what has been achieved over a year from 2010 to 2020, we almost able to cut down 58% of carbon emission with investment over $100 million. Of course, here access to finance is a very crucial in order to make sure that any efficiency projects or renewable projects can be executed in a timely manner. So the second initiative I would like to share, how a typical hotel environment, which use high intensive fossil fuel based hot water generation to the non-fossil fuel based solar thermal and high temperature heat pump. So this is one of the flagship projects for 2,000 room hotel tower with 1.3 megawatt hybrid heating system, where 500 kilowatts is about solar thermal, which generates hot water from the sun, which preheat the water to 50 degrees Celsius. Then, of course, you can have a high temperature heat pump, which is operated through the solar energy to generate 80-degree hot water. With this context, the overall efficiency of the heat generation has been improved almost 60%, and it gives almost a 5-year return on investment, because any projects you venture into, investment against return on investment, which is very crucial in order to succeed the project finance enablement. So of course, ultimately, this project also more than 5-year return on investment gives a 20-year lifespan from the equipments installed. So in a nutshell, it is a real win-win opportunity for any built environment or any real estate can pursue in the context of energy efficiency to eliminate fossil fuel related energy use to a non-fossil fuel energy usage. So as I mentioned at the very beginning about new buildings, so this is another classic example I want to share with the audience here. This is about 5 million square feet of integrated resort development, which is $3 billion investment. So from the onset, we try to enable sustainable development standards in the construction strategy to reduce the embodied carbon footprint from steel, concrete, and of course, recycle, repurpose construction waste generated, and embed complete context in the context of lighting and lighting system to be 100% LEDs, and air conditioning system to be much more energy efficient. Water could be 40% efficient than any other hotel in the world. So I think this is another classic example that how it is important that from the onset of the asset development, SDG goals has to be embraced and ESG compliance has to be embraced so that the funding can be enabled, making sure that assets are developed more sustainable manner, and it will allow to operate over next 30 to 40 years in a more environmental friendly operational. Having said that, today, if you 20 years before and now, the digitalization has gone in a very significant growth. So real estate sector, like any other sector, has a huge opportunity to embrace digital solutions to decarbonize, whether it's AI, machine learning, IoT. And there is a lot of solutions available. It's very important that you really choose the right one in order to succeed your SDG goals. So another key issue globally we faced with waste, whether it's a plastic waste, electronic waste, food waste, any other waste is concerned, that is the biggest challenge. Today, almost more than 1 billion people go to bed with no food, while we are wasting 40 to 50% of food is wasted globally. So we really need to focus on how we can move towards a zero waste methodology. What does it mean, zero waste? There are 3 contexts we can look at it. One, the governments can incentivize across the globe in waste reduction, waste recycling, and repurposing in the context. Of course, there is a legislation can be built. For example, currently I'm in Singapore. From 2024, I mean, not far away from now, around 9 months away, all companies here which operates F&B environment has to focus on food waste reduction, food waste recycling, I mean, repurposing, and ultimately get into organic waste into new form of energy. The second, the businesses can incorporate circular design from the product design to the product deliverable and product disposal. The last but not least, you and me can focus on more pressure to the governments and companies to produce more sustainable food or more sustainable materials. So having said that, if real estate sector, for example, moving towards the net zero goals for 2030 and 2050, this is going to open up a lot of opportunity for job growth, which we are seeing already around the world in many part of the many market segments, and ultimately this will have a more and more opportunity. Having said that, there is also a big challenge from the skill gap. So again, GCPIT, we should focus on how we can encourage more education, knowledge sharing, capacity building, as I mentioned at the very beginning, so that the skill gap can be addressed, so that there will be a job opportunity and job growth, and taking care of the social inclusivity as part of the SDG goals. So this is my last slide. I want to close out with the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. This was from Robert Swan. It's not someone going to save it. I think you're going to save it, I'm going to save it, or we are going to work together, making sure that we enable sustainable goals and ESG compliance across the market segment, including real estate, to achieve net zero goals by 2050. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sayed. That was really helpful and really knowledgeable. Thank you. So our next speaker is Mr. Isaac Ola Ajay, founder of HAE Business Solution Nigeria. He is a success-driven HR and business advisor, leadership recruitment and talent management consultant with proven track record of helping startups and SMEs achieve sustainable growth. With over 10 years of diverse industry experience, he has helped 20 plus business across various sectors focus on end-to-end business growth, people management, culture and leadership initiatives, and digital transformation. He has partnered with over 50 businesses to achieve growth consistently, delivering an average of 30% growth in revenue and productivity for his clients. And today he will be sharing his valuable insights on the topic workplace health and well-being. Over to you, Mr. Ajay. Mr. Ajay, are you there? Please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and fellow attendees. I want to appreciate this opportunity to attend this summit, most importantly, to share my experience with distinguished guests. My name is Isaac Ola Ajayi, and I am thrilled to have the opportunity to discuss a topic of utmost importance, workplace health and well-being. In this discussion, we will delve into the significance of workplace health and well-being in the global business landscape, and I will provide you with a comprehensive overview of the key elements that contribute to healthy work environment, the business benefit of prioritizing employee well-being, and effective strategies for promoting workplace health and well-being. We also explore real-world case study and success story that highlight the positive impact of implementing this initiative. By the end of this section, we will have a deep understanding of why workplace health and well-being matter, how they can transform organization, and practical steps you can take to cultivate a culture of well-being within your professional spheres. So let us embark on this journey together as we explore the profound impact of workplace health and well-being on individual organization and the broader global community. Workplace health and well-being are essential aspects of creating a thriving organization. In today's global business landscape, leaders recognize that prioritizing the health and well-being of employees is not only the right thing to do, but also it's not only the right thing to do, but also a strategic investment. By fostering a culture of well-being, organizations can enhance productivity, engagement, ultimately even their bottom line. Workplace health and well-being encompass the physical, the mental, and emotional aspect of employee welfare. It goes beyond just physical health and includes factors such as stress management, work-life balance, and social connections. The significance of workplace health and well-being cannot be overstated. In fact, the research from the World Health Organization reveals that companies that invest in employee well-being can see a return of investment of up to $4 for every $1 spent. Now, let me briefly discuss the key elements. Let me briefly discuss the key elements of workplace health and well-being. Number one, physical well-being. Physical well-being. Maintaining a physically healthy workforce is crucial. By providing workplaces, promoting regular exercise, and offering a proper nutrition option, organizations can reduce health risk and enhance overall well-being. Studies by the American Art Association indicate that physically active employees have 50% lower healthcare costs. Number 2, mental health and emotional well-being. Addressing mental health in the workplace is very, very vital. Supporting stress management, encouraging work-life balance, and creating a supportive culture are key strategies. The World Health Organization estimates that depression and anxiety disorders cost the global economy $1 trillion per year in lost productivity. Number 3, social connections and work culture. Nurturing positive relationships and fostering an inclusive work environment significantly impact employee well-being. Encouraging teamwork, collaboration, and social connections and work can enhance engagement and job satisfaction. Gallup reports that employees who have a best friend at work are 7 times more likely to be engaged in their jobs. Now, I would like to discuss the benefits of workplace health and well-being. Prioritizing workplace health and well-being offers numerous benefits to organizations. Number 1, it increases productivity and performance. Employees with high well-being are more likely to perform excellently. A study by the Journal of Occupational and Environmental Medicine found that employees with high well-being are 27% more likely to report excellent performance. Number 2, it enhances employee engagement and retention. A focus on well-being boosts employee engagement and reduces turnover rates. Engaged employees are 87% less likely to leave their organizations, as reported by the Corporate Leadership Council. Number 3, it reduces costs and absenteeism. Investing in well-being initiative can lead to significant cost savings. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that productivity losses from absenteeism cost employer $225.8 billion annually in the United States alone. Number 4, it improves employer brand and attraction. It improves employer brand and attraction. A commitment to workplace well-being enhances employer brand and attract top talents. Glassdoor reports that 80% of job seekers consider workplace culture and benefit when deciding to apply for a job. Now, I would like to discuss the strategy for promoting workplace health and well-being. To create a work environment, to create a healthy work environment, organizations can implement several strategies. Number 1, leadership and culture. Leaders play a crucial role in ensuring the tone for workplace well-being. They should model healthy behavior, promote work-life balance, and create a supportive culture that values employee well-being. Number 2, policies and programs. Organizations can implement policies and programs that support employee well-being. This may include flexible work arrangements, wellness programs, mental health support, and professional development opportunities. Number 3, communication and education. Regular communication about well-being initiative and providing education on healthy habits are essential. By raising awareness and providing resources, organizations empower employees to prioritize well-being. Now, I would like to address common challenges organizations face when implementing workplace well-being initiatives. Some common obstacles include lack of leadership support. Without leadership buy-in and support, it can be challenging to initiate and sustain well-being programs. Number 2, limited resources. Limited budgets and resources can hinder the implementation of comprehensive well-being initiatives. Number 3, resistance to change. Resistance from employees' organization. Resistance to employees or organizational culture can impede the adoption of new well-being practices. Number 4, measuring the impacts and return on investment of well-being programs can be complex and challenging. Now, having discussed the challenges organizations face when implementing workplace well-being initiative, I would like to discuss insights, tips, and case study on overcoming these challenges. Number one, engage leadership. Engage leadership early by emphasizing the business case for well-being and demonstrating the potential benefits. Then encourage leadership to champion well-being initiative and lead by example. Advocate of organizational well-being can advocate that leadership should really be, should emphasize that a business case for well-being and demonstrating the potential benefits. Number two, start small and scale up. Organizations can begin with small, achievable steps to demonstrate the value of well-being initiatives and gradually expand program based on successes and lessons learned. Number three, cultivate a culture of well-being. Organizations can foster a culture that values well-being by integrating it into the organization's value, policies, and practices. They can encourage employee involvement and feedback to create a sense of ownership and commitment. Number four, communicate and educate. Organizations should regularly communicate the purpose, benefits, and progress of well-being initiatives to employees and provide education and training on well-being topics to increase awareness and participation. Number five, measure and evaluate. Organizations should establish metrics and evaluation mechanisms to assess the effectiveness of well-being programs and collect data on employee engagement, productivity, absenteeism rates, and healthcare costs to demonstrate the positive impact of well-being initiatives. Before I bring this discussion to a close, I would like to share a case study of one of my clients. XY Limited faced challenges in implementing a comprehensive well-being program due to budget constraints and resistance to change. To overcome this obstacle, we worked with them to take the following steps. Number one, secure leadership support, started with low-cost initiative, employee involvement. And not only that, the result was fabulous. After measuring positive outcomes, including increased employee engagement and reduced absenteeism, XY Limited secured additional funding and expanded the well-being program. So by addressing challenges, head on and adopting tailored strategies, organizations can overcome obstacles and create a supportive environment for work health and well-being initiatives to thrive. Now, I would like to call us to action. Through this discussion, we have explored the importance of well-being and importance of workplace health and well-being as a catalyst for success in an organization. It is now time for action. As leaders and change makers, we have the power to create a work environment that prioritizes the well-being of our employees. By implementing the strategy discussed today, we can make a positive impact on our organization and the lives of our employees. Lastly, I encourage all of you to collaborate and share experience and insight on promoting workplace health and well-being. Together, we can learn from each other's successes and challenges, exchange best practices, and inspire a global movement towards healthier and more fulfilling work environments. Let us continue this dialogue beyond this summit, supporting and empowering one another in our collective efforts to prioritize work health and well-being. In conclusion, workplace health and well-being are not just buzzwords, they are fundamental elements for organizational success. At this stage, I bring this discussion to an end. Thank you for your attention and their commitment to this important endeavor.
Thank you, Mr. Isha. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Mr. Suresh Babu as PMP founder, Ample Courses India. Mr. Suresh is a professional with tremendous experience of more than 3 decades around two crucial domains, people's management and project management. He carries credit in managing high-performance teams, HIPO, and high-value projects, besides business process, solutions, and strategies. He is certified MBTI practitioner and internationally certified strength-based performance coach from Gallup's, and project management professional PMP, and now pursuing ICF certification PCC. He conducts outbound learning from OLF and expansion learning program ELP for startups and companies. He also delivers soft skills training and leadership sessions for Fortune 100 companies. And the topic on which he will be sharing his valuable insights is promote responsible consumption. Over to you, Mr. Suresh.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It's amazing to be here talking to the founders during this Global Founders Council Summit. And thanks a lot for this opportunity. So again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. The topic which is being given to me is pretty close to my heart. How do we promote responsible consumption? I always believe the change happens fundamentally with the awareness. So friends, let me ask you this simple question. I want each one of you to ponder on this. Imagine if everyone is consuming and nobody is producing, then what is going to happen? Friends, now you can understand why we should be cautious about how we consume. My second question is, what if everyone consumes irresponsibly? Then what's going to happen to this planet Earth? So friends, it's very, very important as founders that we align with triple bottom line, which is very much recommended even from project management institution. Yes, friends, it's important while we look at profit as a business, that is the economical variable dealing with the bottom line and cash flow, we also need to look at the people part of it and more so the planet. Having said that, once we have a system which is variable, equitable, and viable between the three aspects of people, profit, and planet, only then we will have something known as sustainable. So having said this, let's move on. I'm sorry to take the name, but that is something which is very easy. Whenever you are ordering something online, let's take for the sake of example, Amazon. For a small pen, how big the container is coming to your place? How much of paper, how much of plastic, how much of transport is being consumed? Is it required? Why are we not thinking about making it as sensitive, as small, as much required only, and stop unnecessary usage? So that calls for an absolute need for each one of us to look at how do we practice this responsible consumption. Sustainable development goals, there are 17 and they are all interconnected as defined by United Nations in 2015. The goal is also known as global goal. Yes, as global citizens, each one of us on this planet Earth, more connected through internet, and we call ourselves as netizens. Our aim is to address various global challenges and guide countries and organizations under a more sustainable and equitable future. And the 17 development goals are so interesting, right from poverty to hunger to health to well-being, as a friend was talking about quality education, gender equality, clean water, sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work, economic growth. I really want to appreciate the way these guys have taken it forward, continuing with industry, innovation, infrastructure, reducing inequalities, sustainable cities, communities, and then comes reasonable, responsible consumption and production. That is my topic, which is goal 12. It does not stop there. Climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institution and partnership for goals. As founders, as entrepreneurs, as leaders, we play a crucial role, my dear friends. Each goal, whatever I have read as 17, each consists of a specific targets and indicators that provide a framework for action and monitoring progress. These 17 goals are interconnected and mutually reinforcing, mutually recognizing the need for a holistic and integrated approach to sustainable development. It's very important for us to understand we are contributing to the Mother Earth, we are contributing to the future generation. And to achieve these 17 goals through innovative business practices, responsible operations, and sustainable business models is the need of the hour. All of us, as entrepreneurs, as founders, as leaders, must align to the activities of SDGs, and we can contribute to the positive social and environmental impact while driving economic growth and resilience. Something very interesting, G12, Goal 12, Responsible Consumption and Production, is one amongst the 17 Sustainable Development Goals established by United Nations, as I said. The key aspects of Goal 12 are 7 in number. Number 1, sustainable production. We should be absolutely conscious even in terms of production. From project management, we call it as just in time. We also need to be careful and cautious about sustainable consumption, as I was making a mention. Here, I would like to ask a question. Can I have a commitment from each one of you who are participating in this, or you are going to watch these videos later? Commit something for planet Earth. Number 1, never ever waste power supply by switching on the lights, by switching on the computers, by switching on the machines when they are not required. Never ever waste a glass of water. Please take only that much of water what you can consume and never ever waste. The formula which I follow, which I take it forward with my clients, is align with nature. When we cannot produce, we have no right to waste. Is there anybody who's going through this program now in a position to produce 1 glass of water? No, right? When we cannot produce a glass of water, do we have right to waste 1 glass of water? Ask this question. Ask your stakeholders, tell your children, tell your family members, never ever waste. And that's the reason waste management is becoming a huge industry, because people are not conscious. My friends were talking about how do we manage waste. My question is, how can we avoid waste? Consume only that much what you want. Order only that much what you want. Produce only whatever is required. Don't do too much. And next, sustainable supply chain. The 5th in the sequence is resource efficiency, and then capacity building and collaboration. Friends, responsible consumption is possible by implementing and also having these best practices. Businesses can contribute to resource efficiency, environmental protection, and social being. This goal, that is goal 12, SDG 12 is what we talk about, recognizes that sustainable economic growth can only be viewed by reducing the ecological footprint and promoting sustainable practices through value chain. Having said that, we can go on and on and on in terms of sustainable production, sustainable consumption, waste management. However, today I want to touch base on a couple of things which are very, very important. How can we have capacity building and collaboration? Achieving responsible consumption and production requires collaboration among governments, businesses, civil society, and consumers. It involves capacity building initiatives, sharing best practices, fostering partnership, and supporting innovative and research in sustainable production and consumption. And the most important aspect for us as founders is in terms of sustainable consumption. Please, encouraging sustainable consumption patterns involve promoting awareness. Let us take today as the day one for awareness if you are listening it for the first time. Then education about the environmental and social impact of consumer choices. Please discourage if somebody is producing unnecessarily or if somebody is consuming unnecessarily, because we may be in a position to afford because we have money. However, pandemic, COVID had taught us, even if you have money, situation might be such you will not be in a position to buy a glass of water. So it's our responsibility as citizens to ensure that we are not only aware, but educate about the environmental and social impacts of consumer choices. It aims to promote responsible and conscious consumption, such as choosing sustainable products, reducing excessive consumption, and considering the life cycle of products. The last point in this particular thing out of 7, what I want to talk about is resource efficiency. Enhancing resource efficiency is a key aspect of responsible consumption and production. This includes summarizing resources extraction, improving energy efficiency, promoting circular economy practices like recycle, remanufacturing, and encouraging the use of renewable resources. I'm so happy in today's world, there is a huge focus on how can we work towards sustainable, and let us take it forward in that particular direction. Now, my favorite. Each one of us love traveling, right? Hello? Each one of us love traveling. And when we travel, can we contribute and promote responsible consumption? Answer is yes. Goal 12 recognizes the need for sustainable tourism practices that minimize negative environmental and socio-cultural impacts while maximizing positive contribution. This includes promoting ecotourism, responsible tourism policies, and preserving cultural heritage. So friends, let's go back to that point where we started our session. Now let me ask you, if everybody consumes and no one produces, then what will happen? Keep on asking this question, then you will start promoting and practicing responsible consumption. You also need to ask yourselves, if everyone consumes irresponsibly, then what will happen? I am sure those of you who know that even on a liquor bottle, it is mentioned, consume responsibly. And it does not stop there. I am putting across today a big request, a big appeal in front of each one of you. Please consume food responsibly so that you stay healthy. The data, look at the data flowing on WhatsApp, Facebook, emails. So much of consumption is happening irresponsibly, and you and I must take the responsibility to ensure we contribute towards a better planet, help towards good carbon footprint. Can I have a commitment that each one of you will at least share with one person or put it across in the social media or talk to somebody that this is what is important, this is what I am impressed upon. Having said that, let's work towards triple bottom line. It's not about the profit, it is also about the people, it's also about the environment. It's time for me, and thanks a lot for a beautiful introduction. Thanks, Santosh, for this opportunity and such a mega project what you are doing. Thanks everybody behind the scene, and most importantly, each one of you who are participating, making notes, looking at it and understanding. It's time for me to log off. I'm Suresh Babu. This is my mobile number. This is my email ID. If I can be of any help, I'll be more than happy. Over to you and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh. Thank you so much. So, thank you all for participating in this knowledge sharing Global Founders Council Summit. Special thanks to all the speakers who have shared their valuable insights with us today. With this, we come to an end for today's summit. Once again, I would like to say thank you for joining us today from the entire CGPIT team. Thank you so much.